A few minutes ago, you almost didn't watch this. Maybe you scrolled past it once. Maybe your thumb hovered, ready to keep going. And then, for no reason you could name, you stopped, you tapped, and now you're here. It felt like nothing. The smallest, most forgettable choice of your whole day. You won't remember it tomorrow, but sit with that tiny moment for a second, because it might be far stranger and far more beautiful than it looks. Here's the thought we're going to follow tonight. Somewhere, in a reality sitting right beside this one, there is a version of you who kept scrolling, who never stopped, who is, right now, living a slightly different evening than you are. And that version of you is just as real as the one sitting here. Take a breath. Because once you see this, you start to see it everywhere. Let's start small. Let's start with you. Think back over just today. This morning, you turned one way instead of another. You said one thing instead of the thing you almost said. You picked the seat, the song, the route, without a second thought, 100 tiny forks a day, 1,000. Choices so small you never even felt them happen. We like to think the big decisions are the ones that shape us, the ones we agonize over for weeks. But those we see coming. The strange truth is that some of the moments that changed everything were invisible. Where you'd live, who you'd love, who you'd become. A split second, a glance, a turn you don't even remember taking. Think about it. The person who became the love of your life. You might have met them only because you were running late one ordinary morning. The whole shape of your world balanced on a moment you've completely forgotten. And here is where it stops being just a nice thought. It starts being physics. Back in 1957, a young physicist at Princeton named Hugh Everett looked deep into the mathematics of quantum mechanics, and he found something hiding there that unsettled him. The equations seemed to be saying something impossible. That when the universe reaches a fork, when a single particle could go one way or the other, it doesn't pick. It takes both. The world quietly splits, and both outcomes come true, each in its own branch of reality. He called it the many worlds interpretation, and most people hearing it for the first time assume it's science fiction. It isn't. It's one real reading of the same equations that run every computer, every phone, every piece of technology you have ever touched. The math doesn't say it's impossible. The math, if you take it at its word, says it's happening all the time, everywhere, which means every one of those little forks in your life might not have been a road not taken at all. It might have been a road taken by another you in a world right next to this one. So let yourself wonder for a moment, not with fear, with a kind of awe. Somewhere there is a you who said yes when you said no, a you who got on the plane, who made the call, who stayed or who left, a you who kept going with the thing you gave up on, and a you who never even tried. Not as regrets, as people. Real breathing versions of you, each one certain that their life is the only one. And it doesn't stop at you, because if the smallest choices branch, then so do the biggest ones in history. Every turning point we ever reached was a fork too. And on the other side of each one is a whole world we never got to see. Picture it, a world where Rome never fell, where its roads and its engineers carried on for another 1,000 years, where the cathedrals of the year 1,000 have running water and printed books, or a world where some forgotten mind was born in exactly the right place, at exactly the right time, where we reached for the stars centuries early, so that tonight somebody like you looks up and sees not an empty moon but a city glowing on its surface. Somewhere the discovery that never quite happened here happened there. The war that broke the world avoided. The idea that changed everything, arriving 100 years sooner. Whole histories, whole futures, each one as real and lived in as our own. It's dizzying when you let it open all the way up. And one physicist took it further than almost anyone. His name is Max Tegmark, and he followed the idea all the way out to the largest scale there is, because our best understanding of the early universe hints at something staggering. That space might not just be huge, it might be infinite, truly, endlessly infinite, going on forever, in every direction. And in an infinite universe, something remarkable has to be true. There are only so many ways to arrange the matter in a space the size of the one you can see. A staggering number of ways, but a finite one. So if space goes on forever, those arrangements have to start repeating. Eventually, somewhere out there, the exact same atoms fall into the exact same pattern. Which means if the math holds that far beyond anything we could ever see, there is another Earth. And on it, another you, reading these same words. At this same moment, living a life identical to yours right down to this breath. And not just one, an infinite number of them, an infinite number of you, living every possible version of your life. Tegmark even worked out how far away your nearest perfect copy would be. The number is so large it barely means anything. But here's the part worth sitting with. This isn't a lone dreamer at the edge of science. Most cosmologists today accept that some version of this is genuinely possible. It falls right out of the leading theory of how our universe began. The strangeness isn't a mistake. It's what the math predicts. So take a moment and let the whole thing stretch out in front of you. Every choice you never made being made. Every life you didn't live being lived. Every world that could have been somewhere actually being. An endless, shimmering web of yous and worlds and might have beens, stretching out past anything the mind can hold. It's the biggest, most beautiful thing I know how to imagine. And now gently I want to bring it all the way back down. Back through the infinite earths. Back past all the other yous. Back through every branch and every fork, until we arrive right back here, in this room, with you. A few minutes ago you almost didn't watch this. And somewhere, a version of you didn't. But you're here. You made the small, forgettable choice that led to this exact moment. So before you go, and you will in a moment, just notice where you are. The room around you, the quiet weight of your own hands, the sounds you'd stopped hearing until right now. You spent your whole life arriving exactly here. Out of every life you could have lived, out of all the infinite worlds that never were, this is the one that became real. This one.